Hey guys, what's going on? James here, and I know it's really late. It's like almost 2:30 a.m. right now, but I wanted to go ahead and make a video about this article posted on JoeBucsFan.com about Brent Grimes. If you guys have not checked out JoeBucsFan.com ever, I'll leave a link to it down in the description below right at the top. You guys should go check it out. Justin Pawlowski's on there. I've worked with him before. The Commish, he does a podcast on here. Ira Kaufman does a podcast on here, as well as many other amazing writers who do some wonderful things for the Buccaneers community. But without further ado, let's get into this article where the headline reads, "That just effed up my whole vibe for the whole year. To be completely honest, I can't wait to read this article." So let's read. Brent Grimes has opened up about the 2018 Buccaneers, and it's ugly. Speaking on his wife Miko's latest podcast, I Heart Miko, the Grimes couple went game by game, breaking down the cornerback's performance this season. The point was to show that Grimes played a lot better than people think he did. Brent Grimes was very candid about good plays and bad as a pass defender. So, okay, quick point here. I'm going to be talking through this article, so just bear with me. I think that's kind of petty that you would go on your wife's podcast and you would both go through game by game to show that you aren't as bad as people say you are. I wouldn't, I mean, obviously I can't say that I would let that stuff bother me or not, but as a professional, you probably shouldn't let that stuff bother you because you can probably hear it all the time. You can probably tone it out. So, he probably shouldn't have been this petty, but he gets a lot more petty. Don't worry. Let's keep on reading. He also talked about his run support and how defensive backs coach John Hoke and he were at odds for years. Let me say that again. He and defensive backs coach John Hoke were at odds for years on how to play the run. It was a lot of X's and O's chatter about how Hoke's way of playing the run clashed with what Grimes had been taught previously. Grimes said he often got bad run grades from coaches even when he made a play. So these two people, John Hoke, the defensive backs coach, and Brent Grimes, the Buccaneers' #1 cornerback, were at odds for years about a certain aspect of playing the game. They were at odds for years, and you can tell later on in this article that it bothered Brent Grimes a lot, and he really did not like John Hoke, apparently, for years. My main question right now is, why did nobody do anything about this? John Hoke didn't man up and just work with Brent Grimes. Brent Grimes didn't man up and just work with John Hoke. Mike Smith didn't do anything. Dirk Cutter didn't do anything. Nobody did anything. I don't think this was a problem that should have went to, say, Jason Light or the Glazers, because it should have stopped at the coaching. Either John Hoke should have manned up, or Brent Grimes should have manned up, or somebody, Mike Smith or Dirk Cutter, should have gone to them and said, hey, can you not do this, especially since it's been years? So that's pretty stupid, but it is what it is. They're all going to be gone anyway, so it doesn't matter anymore, but that's stupid, and that was one of the reasons why this entire coaching staff is pretty much gone. But let's keep on reading. So where did I leave off? Right here. But what really was interesting was Grimes talking about how he felt he was disrespected by the Bucs during contract negotiations last offseason. Well, if you thought you were being disrespected, why did you accept the contract that the Buccaneers gave you? That's a very interesting question that I really would like to hear the answer to, but it is what it is. In March, he signed for $7 million plus incentives on a 1-year deal. It was okay, Grimes said, even though lesser NFL corners were earning more. If you thought that lesser NFL corners were earning more, why didn't you go to free agency and try and get more money? I would say that the short answer is he didn't think he was going to get more money, but who knows, maybe some desperate team could have offered him a ton of more money, and he highlights how much money cornerbacks of his caliber should generally earn, so we'll get into that when we get to it. But if he felt that insulted by contract negotiations, why did he accept the contract? That is what it is. But anyway, after being injured and missing the first 2 games, Grimes returned against Pittsburgh on Monday Night Football. The Bucs were 2-0. Let me say that again. The Bucs were 2-0. They were in a really, really, really good spot at this point in the year. He said he got upset before that game because Bucs coaches asked him to shadow Antonio Brown all game. Well, okay, I can actually probably agree with him on this one. I'd be pretty annoyed too if I had to shadow Antonio Brown the whole game. He's probably the best wide receiver in the league, so yeah, that probably pissed me off too. Anyway, we get to the Steelers, and then they start asking me to follow people, Grimes said, explaining that corners that follow receivers all game earn 13 to 15 million. First of all, that's not true. There are a couple of cornerbacks in this league that earn 13 to 15 million out of the sheer desperateness by some NFL teams, okay? Tremaine Johnson with the New York Jets is a perfect example. He's earning $15 million. He is not a cornerback who can follow number one wide receivers, successfully shutting them down. Tremaine Johnson is not that kind of corner, and I don't think he necessarily deserves that much money, especially with all the reports of this couple of games this last Jets season about how he was in a lot of trouble and he was, getting in, trouble with the team and whatnot in terms of overall discipline. So, that's a prime example that not all the best cornerbacks are making, not all the best, highest paid cornerbacks are the best cornerbacks. But anyway, there's a lot of lockdown corners that aren't making $13 to $15 million. Look at Jalen Ramsey. He's still on his rookie contract. I would still say that Richard Sherman is one of the best cornerbacks in the league. He's not making that much. So really, all in all, that's not necessarily true, and you're kind of generalizing a ton of cornerbacks into one group, and that's not fair because that's not true. Anyway, continuing with the article, Grimes said the Bucs wanted him to shadow all number one wide receivers, like kind of how what you expect a number one wide receiver to do, especially when you're paying $7 million. I know it's not $13 to $15 million, and I know that you would want more money. We all want more money, but you still signed the contract. If you thought you could have made as much as Tremaine Johnson, why didn't you go into free agency and go sign with another team who was desperate enough to pay you that much money, or did you think that you weren't going to get that much money? That's, again, an interesting question. But continuing on with the article, shadowing number one wide receivers, he felt it was a slap in the face because they weren't paying him for that. That just effed up my whole vibe for the whole year. And to be completely honest, Grimes says, okay, so this messed up Brent Grimes' whole vibe for the whole year in week 3. In week 3, there were, what, 12 more games? 13? There were 13 more games, sorry. 14 if you count the Steelers game. There were 14 more games, and Brent Grimes' heart wasn't in it for 14 games? Why? What is happening? Like, why didn't anybody try and fix this on the coaching staff? That's stupid. That's absolutely stupid. This whole coaching staff was so stubborn, and it's what got them fired. Nobody tried to fix this problem, and nobody tried to sit Grimes down and tell him to shut up, man up, and work through the contract. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. And yes, your number one cornerback should follow your number one wide receivers. That's usually what your number one cornerback does, especially one that you trust enough to do that. If I was a number one cornerback and I was told to shadow number one wide receivers, I would think of it as, oh wow, they really trust me. Maybe I can ask for more money if I want to keep on playing after this upcoming season. But hey, you know what? Whatever. Apparently Grimes doesn't think that way. It is what it is. But anyway, it then goes into talking about how Joe is upset and Joe, feels that Grimes is complaining, which he absolutely is, and congrats to Jason Light for screwing up another free agent. Well, who knows? Maybe Jason Light didn't even know, but yeah, this isn't a good look. Grimes also explained on the podcast that he told Bucs coaches he wanted to sit out the season finale last Sunday because he was so frustrated by Hoke. Again, nobody did anything about this. Coach Hoke apologized, Grimes said, and Grimes eventually played. Migo Grimes said she helped convince her husband to play in the game because she knew it might be the last of his career. Migo added that she'd like Grimes to play one more season for any price, as long as he's having fun and has a shot at the postseason. Okay, sure, Brent Grimes should you want to join a team to go to the postseason. I bet any of us would if we were 14-year veterans or however long Brent Grimes has been playing. But, if Brent Grimes is going to play another season for any price, he might as well just go to the New England Patriots or something, because that's his best shot of earning a playoff spot or whatever you want to call it, or going to the postseason. But I can tell you right now, management's probably going to not like these things. The new coaches that come in probably aren't going to like this kind of attitude. Certain Bucs players already don't like this kind of attitude, and Bucs fans 100% are not going to like this attitude. I'm not going to ask you guys if you feel Brent Grimes should stay or go, because I already know the answer. You guys all probably want him to go, and for good reason. Just from what is based on this article here, Brent Grimes was selfish, petty, and really just overall acting kind of childish in terms of his overall thoughts and feelings during this past season when the Bucs were even in a good spot. They were 2-0 in week 3 and Grimes was still acting this way. You sign a contract, you have a commitment to that contract, man up and do it so you can try and get more money next time if you want to keep on playing. That's how these things work, especially in the NFL. The NFL is different from real life. They're in two entirely different things. You sign that contract, you are trapped in that contract until the next renegotiation period. And if you were that upset by week 3, why didn't you request for a trade? Deshaun Jackson did it. Obviously, he didn't get it, but maybe you would have gotten it. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. I have no idea. Brent Grimes is being very petty here, and I understand that a lot of Bucs fans are upset. 100% deserve to be upset. I'm kind of annoyed with it as well. I usually don't let this stuff bother me that much, but it's just kind of annoying to see that kind of stuff, especially whenever things start to get generalized and, you know, half-truths start coming out about certain players and how much they're earning, and especially when people aren't going to commit to certain contracts that they've had, and whenever they have other options out there and they choose not to take it, and then they get upset whenever they themselves did not go take other opportunities that were out there, like going to join another team who could have offered you more money or could have given you a shot at the postseason. Grimes didn't take that opportunity. He took what he felt was probably going to be the most money he was going to get. So what is the reason to complain? It doesn't make sense to me. If you didn't like John Hoke and nobody was doing anything about it for years, why didn't you leave? That's a great question, huh? But anyway, let me know what you guys think about all this down in the comments section below. What do you think about Brent Grimes? I'm sure I'm going to get a lot of lovely comments. What do you think about the coaching staff and their ineptitude of not being able to deal with this situation and their just overall lack of awareness of certain players' emotions and certain players' feelings and their overall stubbornness to players like Chris Baker in the past and Deshaun Jackson and now Brent Grimes? What do you guys think about this entire situation? Let me know about it down in the comment section below. I hope you guys all enjoyed this video. Until next time, I'll see you in the next video or the next live stream. But until then, and as always, goodbye for now, and go Bucs.